The conversation that couldn't be unheard. Gary was never the type to tiptoe around opinions. If he respected you, he told you. If he thought you were faking it, he told you that too. The backstage area that night was buzzing, the kind of energy you get when egos and guitars share the same oxygen. A famous rock guitarist, one whose face had been plastered on magazine covers for decades, was holding court, surrounded by younger musicians hanging on his every word. He talked about sold-out tours, his revolutionary sound, the millions he'd made. But Gary, listening from the corner, couldn't help but hear the gap between the story and the truth. When there was a pause, Gary stepped forward, his Les Paul slung casually over his shoulder. "Impressive resume," he said with a small grin, "but here's the thing. When was the last time you made someone cry with a single note?" The room went still. A few people chuckled nervously, unsure if Gary was joking, but he wasn't. His eyes locked on the man like he was talking to a student, not a superstar. The guitarist stammered something about technical skill, about speed, about innovation. Gary shook his head. "Speed's fine. Skill's fine. But you can't teach soul. You either mean it or you don't." It wasn't meant to humiliate. It was meant to challenge. And Gary gave that same challenge to everyone, no matter how big their name. He remembered once telling another well-known player, "If your music isn't dangerous, it's just background noise." Word about Gary's bluntness spread quickly that night. Some avoided him. Others were curious. And then came the one person Gary did want to talk to, a quiet, almost shy jazz guitarist who had been watching him during his own set. This man said softly, "I've been trying to find my own sound for years. I copy my heroes, but it never feels right." Gary nodded slowly. "That's because you're so peaking with someone else's voice. You got to find your own. Even if it's ugly at first, it's yours. That's the difference between a player and an artist." That small conversation, overheard by a few lingering musicians, struck a chord. It wasn't about tearing others down. It was about stripping away the mask. And by the end of the night, Gary knew he had started something. People were questioning themselves. But the real storm came later, when Gary publicly called out an icon whose name was untouchable in the industry and didn't hold back.